From Rixie, this is the Daily Rec. I'm Tanner Carlton. My YouTube recommendation for today is the channel of Denis. I believe I'm saying this correctly. I'm gonna take a crack at it. Denis Shiryaev. If that name rings a bell to you, then we're probably caught in the same YouTube algorithm, which I always worry about with these recommendations. I feel like everyone's already seen all of it. That's okay. Regardless, Denis Shiryaev has been reformatting these videos from like early 1900s, maybe late 1800s, San Francisco streets, New York City streets, Paris, Amsterdam, and then colorizing them. So I think he's just like maybe a film school student or just like graduate who's just like doing it for fun. But it's a joy to watch because it's so strange. He colorizes everything. If anyone's ever seen colorized photography, it's beautiful. It's super weird. It's kind of eerie. He does put a soundtrack to it. So, obviously these videos didn't have audio capability. It wasn't like the all-in-one that we all carry around in our pocket today. But it's really enjoyable to watch. It's astonishing because I think one thing that hits me is that someone who hails from a small town, I've gone to cities and even lived in pretty close to cities, bigger towns. It's astonishing how hustle and bustle these places were a century ago, and how these people, navigated their everyday struggles a lot like us. I think a lot like we do. That might not mean anything to some of you, but it's just interesting to see that this person with like probably less means in some ways than I have today, definitely less means, is navigating the hustle and bustle of like San Francisco in the 1900s with way more. They're just going through it. So much stuff. The most obvious thing for me is how the streets are shared, pedestrian and horse and buggy. A lot of horse and buggy and cars. Drivers are terrible. I don't think they did DMV licensure, Department of Motor Vehicle licensure. I don't think they did that back then. But I would suggest that we all go back to the shared streets. I've only seen one of those recently at the Wharf, the new Wharf neighborhood in DC. But I love it. It's so great. It's good to be able to walk in a public space and not feel like you're going to get smacked by a car. Look both ways, folks. This has been your Daily Rec. See you tomorrow.